It's the One Season Wonder podcast with Christopher, Jason, and Tawan.
Hey there, and welcome to One Season Wonder. This is the podcast where we shine a spotlight on TV shows that burn bright, but way too fast. One season, one story, and a whole lot of what could have been. Around here, we don't let these shows rest in peace. Nope. We dig in to figure out why they rocked, why they flopped, and why we're still obsessed. I'm Tawan, and I'm here with...
I'm Jameson.
And I'm Christopher.
Today we're kicking things off with Firefly, the sci-fi western that somehow managed to be funny, exciting, and full of space cowboys all at the same time. Specifically, we're covering the pilot episode, Serenity, the one Fox decided not to air first because, well, reasons. We will get into those in a minute. Before we dive into the episode itself, let's kick things off with some information about me and my co-hosts, and some background on the show and its cast. Then we'll break it all down, scene by scene, and explore what makes this episode and this show so iconic. Saddle up, folks. It's going to be shiny.
I have something important to say to start this all off because I feel like the viewers need this little bit of information.
Okay.
Is this an intervention?
What?
Because I don't watch movies or TV shows. Why am I here? And I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe with it being an intervention, maybe that's why we're doing One Season Wonders. Because it's like, maybe we need to start small with her. You know?
Right.
Good.
We need to start with something really
Because
small.
all 8 Star Wars was too much.
Exactly. Or any other TV show ever.
Right.
Or movie. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
you used to when you were little. You used to watch. Well, I'm a TV junkie, so I had TV on all the time. You watched TV and movies. I forced you to.
I haven't seen any proof of that. Every time I turn something on, she's never seen it before.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that while I was watching the first episode the first time, and I was like, why did I sign up for this? I don't watch TV shows.
Well, you only have to watch one episode a week,
Yeah, I know.
so it'll be fine.
I did it just to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
That's really what it's.
Then we get to watch the
Bonding.
episode like 3 times just to make sure we get it right.
Right. So that was Jameson. That's her background, I guess. She has no background in TV or movies. She's my daughter, and yeah, I always have the TV on. TV's on all the time in my house. Sometimes it's just background fodder, just because I'm doing other stuff. I used to watch TV so back in my day. TV just came on and you had to watch it when it came on. Like, you had no other choice.
You had
the
to.
dial.
I did have a dial, actually. I had a dial. I had a TV.
You have to fix the antennas too.
I
make sure you-
actually had a TV that had 2 dials. You had a UHF and a VHF. If you guys know what UHF is. Anyway. But we had UHF and VHF, and it was like it was brown and had a brown like speaker
Universal
over here.
high frequency.
Huh?
UHF?
Yeah, what'd you say?
I said universal high frequency.
Oh, maybe. I don't even know what it stands for, actually. I should, because the movie is great. Have you ever seen the movie UHF?
I don't know.
Oh. No.
Oh, and you want to come at me?
Anyway, so, but yeah, I have been watching TV my whole life and very much an addict. Nowadays, I watch everything streaming, of course. I don't even have cable or DirecTV. And I am in a habit, though, where I hardly ever watch anything new. I watch a lot of shows that I've watched a million times already.
Yeah.
I've watched Bones probably 8 or 9 times all the way through full season. Psych, I've watched a million times. Oh, Psych is great. What's that fucking look?
No, yeah.
Last Night Gus is one of my
Shots fired.
favorite episodes. That episode is fucking hilarious. So, anyway, but I watch a lot of shit over and over and over again. And I do need to get into watching newer shows that I haven't seen. But
There's a good chance for it.
yeah, this will help me out. Because I've never seen Firefly.
Well, I don't remember it. I'd seen the movie Serenity.
Oh,
but,
okay.
My experience with TV, I was a stoner for fucking early 20s to a couple of years ago. So I've seen all the stuff on the TV. Especially during COVID.
Especially the what?
During COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I watched Game of Thrones the whole way through and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, I've always been, like, especially when we were younger, because I had the VHS, I didn't have the dial, but we had the little box TV that we put in the car on vacations.
Oh my god, we did that
We
too.
did too. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
VHS in
I
there.
figured we were the only ones that did that.
No, that shit was bad. It was fun.
No,
So,
that's
It
hilarious.
had the VHS in.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. The whole
Yeah.
TV had the VHS player in it.
Yeah, every time we would go to Maine, we
Right.
would do that. I remember being
It was
in
all set
the
up.
teeny tiny third row seat of the van,
Yeah.
but it's like, yes, we have this little VH TV.
We're so cool.
Yeah, and we would set it all up in the car. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So yeah, that's
I've seen The Bug's Life a lot.
Yeah.
That's a
Bugs Life.
movie.
She does love some Bugs Life. That was her favorite.
Yeah.
That and Where
the
the Heart
Lego
Is.
movie.
Well, the Where the Heart Is was
Well,
when we were
yeah,
little.
old school, yeah.
We'd watch Bugs Life and Where the Heart Is, which
Yeah.
you called the movie with the big wind.
nice.
There's a tornado in that movie.
It's the big wind. I
Yeah.
don't understand.
So
It's a scientific.
But you
term.
also watched now the TV that she did watch, and I know this for a fact because
Oh.
I hear the story all the time. Because I'm a huge horror fan and I love horror movies, and I indoctrinated all of my children, because I have 3 of them, into horror from a very young age. And don't come at me. I was there watching it with them. I didn't just put them in a room and say, "Here, watch this."
Here's a dark closet. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna like it.
You're gonna like it. You did watch SpongeBob too.
It's funny you bring up SpongeBob because I have a SpongeBob reference in the first episode.
Oh, okay. Jameson was the only one of my children that was apparently terrified
Yeah,
because I
was
forced
a
her to
late,
watch.
I was a
horror
late
movies.
bloomer in the horror
Yeah,
category.
she came to the horror
and now I'm the
category
scariest
right
one out of all of us.
Yeah, you definitely are. So
She's right though.
I did a good job.
Well, every movie we watch by ourselves is generally a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I like I love westerns. I love army movies. I will watch a comedy if someone tells me to. I don't. It's not the first thing I
You'll
think
go for
of.
it,
And
yeah.
in rom-coms, it's not the first thing I go to because my head is immediately what horror movie is out there that I haven't
Yeah.
seen yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as a child, to go to bed after we'd watch a horror movie, she would go to bed and she would put on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yep.
And
That's
that
my
was
shit right there.
Yeah, that was the only way she could get out of the I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I used to sing God is Bigger Than Boogeyman from VeggieTales. Specifically one occasion. That was after watching the Blair Witch Project, and we were staying in a huge creepy hotel,
Yeah.
and it was all weird, and I'm in a room, I'm just like singing God is Bigger Than Boogeyman like an
That's
idiot.
hilarious. I love that. VeggieTales does rock though.
Yeah,
so.
they have some bangers. The next thing we're going to talk about is just some facts about Firefly. And everybody who's watching or listening, because this is also going to be on YouTube, this is going to be a pretty long episode because the show itself is incredibly long. So, but we're also going to be going into, of course, we talk about ourselves and then facts about the show and then the actors and stuff like that. So it's going to be a long episode. Maybe I'll split it into 2.
I would also like to preface all the stuff that I looked at today. I did not fact check any of it. So if it's wrong,
I might be starting rumors.
might be spreading rumors very well. But I mean, it sounded good.
So some facts about Firefly. So, of course, the creator is Joss Whedon, and he is best known for Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. He also did The Avengers.
Well, all the shit talking I just did about how I've seen everything, I've never seen Buffy either.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I didn't know he did the Avengers though.
I didn't write the details, but he did a couple of the movies, I think, but then they took him off of it, and he also did some like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like
Ah,
that.
so he's got buku money, this dude.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
He's got some talent. Whedon describes this show as a mix of Western and sci-fi, inspired by his love of classic Westerns. He also wanted to explore life on the fringes of society in the future, dominated by 2 superpowers, which would be the American and Chinese cultures, which are very prominent. The Chinese culture part in the series, at first I was like, because I didn't check any of this stuff. I wanted to watch the show before I got any of the facts on it.
Mm.
So while I'm watching the show, I'm like, why is there so much Chinese? Like, they use chopsticks when they were eating. They sometimes
I
say...
noticed that too. Everyone was using like different food utensils. in the
Yes,
first episode.
sometimes they'll speak in Chinese every once in a while. When a lot of people are dressed kind of in that garb.
Interesting.
Anyway, so it's a mix of American and Chinese cultures, which results in the show's unique fusion of English and Mandarin. Some other interesting facts about it, the unusual episode order. The pilot episode of Serenity was the last episode aired during the show's original run in the U.S. Fans often recommend watching it the way we're watching it, which means the way the series was intended. So Serenity is technically the pilot first episode.
Mm.
But when Fox saw it, they decided to go with The Train Job, which is the second episode. Because it was more, faster paced and more exciting, I guess.
Not 10 hours long.
Yeah. Which at first, when I first started watching this episode, I was like, God, the first scene is a big old action war scene.
Yeah. And then it completely cuts to something else. Yeah.
So I
think
like,
that was the background for the main dude, though.
Right.
Like, you had to make him, like, he's kind of a hard ass.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's a little different than that.
What do you think?
Well, we'll get into it.
You're actually wrong.
You are wrong. Fact check.
Kicked out of the podcast because of that comment, right?
Yeah. You're done.
But it's weird they put it at the end because it introduces all the people, and it's like, how do you put that at the end?
Right.
Explain that, and it has that whole 6 years later. It's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
after the war scene, it's 6 years later, and then you're introduced to everybody on the ship, and then it's like, how do they introduce people in this? We haven't watched the second episode because none of us have seen it, so it's like, how are they introducing everybody in the second episode?
They're going to introduce everybody again.
Like, it's weird. I don't understand.
It will be
yet.
interesting to see what the second episode is.
And I get, I give TV show pilots a pass regardless because I know that it's going to be slower paced and it's going to, because they're trying to, you've got to learn the characters, they're introducing people. So I give the first episode a pass of any show that I watch because it's always going to be a little slower. And then, it picks up, and then if it's shit after that, then whatever. But the first one, you kind of have to, you're expecting it to be a little slower. I was not expecting it to be nearly 2 hours long, but that was a lot. Cool. So,
well, the other thing that I did not fact check, but I read about is like during the first episode, how they interacted with the other criminals or whatever, how it made the team look like soft and like not as action packed as it could have been.
Oh, yeah.
Like the one dude wanted to do the shootout, and he's like, no. And so I guess it was, maybe this next one will be more exciting than the first one that was kind of just building the plot and characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I didn't fact check it, so.
It's also a cult classic. Despite its cancellation, Firefly developed a devoted fan base known as Browncoats, and they campaigned for its revival. The fan dedication led to the creation of the 2005 feature film Serenity, which provided closure for the series. It actually, I read in one place that the fans actually didn't really come into play and it didn't become such a huge cult classic until it went into streaming form, and then people started watching it at that point, and that's when it really got big. Of course, there's a Chinese influence, which we touched on before. In the show's universe, Chinese culture plays a significant role as one of the dominant powers. Characters frequently curse in Mandarin, though the grammar and pronunciation are often incorrect. I would not know.
Oh, they do like cuss and stuff in other languages?
In real life or on the show?
On the show.
Yes, Jameson.
That's why.
But they do it on the show, right?
Yeah.
Because I picked up on it at one point, but I was like, maybe I just misheard it.
You speak Mandarin?
Just the tone.
No,
I
could. It sounded like somebody was speaking a different language, but I didn't catch it because I wasn't fully paying attention. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
But anyway, it's often incorrect, but we wouldn't know anyway. There's also a lack of aliens in this show, even though it's sci-fi, which I actually like. I like the fact that it's not filled with a bunch of aliens. I like that it's all just regular humans. This was intentional, emphasizing that humanity expanded into space alone. The name of the ship and the design of the ship. And of course, again, I did not look up any of this information, so I'd always wondered, why did they call this Firefly?
The little tail.
Yeah, so when I was watching it, there's the scene where they're leaving the scavenger ship, and they first kind of show a full overview of the ship, and as it's taking off, and there's big bulbous back end that lights up really bright. And I was like, oh, that's why they call it Firefly. Yeah.
Side note, another thing I read, which makes sense too, you notice every time you see the spaceship like flying, there's no sound. It's just the background, like music.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it's on purpose, like in space, there's no sound, there's no...
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just silent and like the Western kind of vibe of background music.
It kind of reminds me when you used to watch like really shitty shark movies, because I love shark movies, but shark movies where the shark growls.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you didn't do that.
Why is he growling?
Exactly.
That's not a real shark.
Why are you guys running? This is not a real shark. The sharks don't
I
growl?
was about to say, why are they running from sharks?
Land shark. Maybe a land shark growls.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But you know it's a real shitty shark when the shark's growling.
Real shitty sharks.
Real shitty shark.
Especially when they're running from the shark. That's how
Yeah.
you really know.
Like a cartoon. Anyway, they're on top of the water.
Yeah.
They cast Jesus for that role.
Yo, Jesus.
Yeah.
Get down here.
Yeah.
So anyway, the name of the ship is Serenity. It's a first-class vessel. It's a Firefly class vessel, I'm sorry. Named for its resemblance to a firefly with a glowing tail. Its name is also a nod to the Battle of Serenity Valley, because that's where the battle was Serenity Valley. So the theme song itself was written by Joss Whedon. It's called The Battle of Serenity, which reflects the crew's desire for freedom and independence. Cast chemistry, they say that the cast quickly bonded, often playing pranks on one another during filming, and that Nathan Fillion, who plays Malcolm, was known for his antics, frequently using prop weapons to surprise co-stars.
Dope.
Some on-set details. The entire interior of the Serenity was built as one connected set, allowing scenes to flow naturally without needing any cuts to jump from like scene to scene, like room to room, which would be so fucking cool. Could you imagine having that? Like if you owned that, that'd be cool shit. It's like whole one friggin' piece.
Well, that was another like one of the side notes that like when they had like breaks or whatever, the cast preferred to hang out in the Serenity they wanted to hang out on set rather than like go out and do trailers or whatever. Because it was such a fluid comfortable place for them.
Find that information.
Yeah, instead of it just being like a set.
Maybe not true. Could be a rumor.
That's why I didn't fact check it, but it sounds great.
It does sound great. Okay, so the attention to detail included making the ship look lived in, with scuff marks and makeshift repairs. Awards and stuff that it got, the show won a Primetime Emmy for outstanding special visual effects, and it continues to influence modern sci-fi, often cited as a touchstone for blending genres.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like, because this was, God, I didn't even look up what year it was.
2002.
Yeah.
The
minor details.
Watch someone fact check me, but it was very early 2000s.
Right. Okay, so why it was a one-season wonder. So there was, of course, network interference. Fox aired its episodes out of order, and the intended pilot, of course, was considered too slow, so the network replaced it with a faster-paced train job.
Do we know why they did it out of order?
Because I'm telling you right now.
Oh.
And I think I have another thing to add, but I want to hear what you've researched.
Just that they basically just thought that the train job was faster paced, and of course it would pull people in more so than the slower paced pilot.
And like they just get to decide that? The show doesn't get to decide that?
Well, they're the ones paying for it, I guess. So they're like, we just do whatever we want. You listen.
So the other part that I read and did not fact check, but the director apparently shot a lot of it in widescreen, and the show wanted to broadcast it on TV of like a more square version for TV or whatever.
Right.
So they had to read, and like a lot of the stuff didn't make sense of, like you couldn't see the whole part of what the director was trying to do with a widescreen rather than like a box shape.
So they say that because they put the train job first, it resulted in viewers, they were introduced to the characters in the universe without proper context.
Confused.
And they were confused. Yeah, it makes sense. The time slot. So the show aired on Friday nights, which often is considered the death slot for TV series as it struggled to attract a larger audience. Now, I don't know, Friday nights, now of course I was a dork.
You didn't have friends.
I
I
was a total loser.
Well, no, as soon as you said it, though, I was like, oh, it makes sense that it would be a death slot, because, like, people, you think of Friday and Saturday nights, people are out and doing stuff.
People are out.
It makes sense, because most TV shows, it's like Tuesday, Wednesday.
But I remember some Friday, I remember, it wasn't Family Matters and Step by Step. There were a whole bunch of, like, family-oriented shows on Friday nights.
I didn't watch TV on Fridays. I was trying to...
Friday, Saturday nights, most people, especially young people, go out those nights. They're not going home to like sit down and watch TV. Whereas like those other nights, like Tuesday, loser, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Thursdays, whatever, Mondays, whatever it may be during the week, you're going home from work and
Right.
maybe like eating dinner and then watching your TV show after, right?
Right.
So, like before you go to bed. So it makes sense that like Fridays is probably not the best nights to do it.
Right.
And I would also figure sci-fi draws a younger crowd.
Probably.
Maybe.
Mhm.
That's just an opinion.
Western though,
Westerns are bitching, babe. You need to get over that hump.
I love Westerns.
Says the
not
person
saying
that
there's
can't even
anything-
make it through Tombstone. Just saying.
I haven't watched it.
You tried to. You
No, I
did try
didn't.
to,
It's because it was on a day that I didn't want to watch anything.
yeah.
Which is like every day.
Don't get me wrong. If you asked me this week, hey, do you want to go home Friday and Saturday, watch TV, and have dinner? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, well, now you're in your
I'm in a
30s.
different spot.
Yeah. But I guess Friday night, if you were a family-oriented show, like I was talking about, Step by Step and Family Matters and all those, you're home if you have kids, then
Yeah.
you're probably going to
Yeah.
go.
This one probably wasn't as much of a family show.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
So,
Yeah. There's some choice wording.
Right.
Yeah, and other scenes.
It wasn't. That part wasn't that bad.
it was, I was surprised.
Yeah,
I know what scene you're
have-
talking about.
Well, that's in my notes for later.
I was gonna say I have one funny note, but
It had poor marketing. Fox promoted Firefly as an action-packed sci-fi series, downplaying its character-driven storytelling and Western influences. It also had low ratings, despite strong fan support, which again I feel like didn't come until much later on. The show's live ratings were weak, leading to its cancellation after only 11 of its 14 produced episodes aired in the U.S. The facts about the episode itself, this episode, it is very long. It is a 2-hour episode intended to introduce the characters, ship, and universe. Its slower pace was meant to build the world and establish emotional stakes. Of course, I'm guessing when it aired, it was originally 2 hours long because of commercials. We watched it on Hulu.
Oh, yeah.
It was like an hour and 45 minutes or something on Hulu, so we didn't get the full
Yeah,
2
it's like a
hours,
minute.
but it might as well have been. This one I thought was interesting. So it was rewritten. The pilot episode had to be rewritten because Fox rejected Whedon's initial pitch, and he rewrote the pilot episode in 2 days. So do either of you want to guess how much the pilot cost, what the budget was for the pilot? The pilot alone. 50 what? Dollars?
Jeez.
Cents? Okay. 50,000? No.
higher or lower?
Higher.
500.
1,000?
Yeah.
Do you know how much money that was back in 2000?
Yeah.
You're both wrong. It's
Higher?
higher.
Higher than that? For
A
the pilot?
million.
Higher.
Oh. Well, it was
For
fucking 2
one
hours
It was
long.
like a movie. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it.
That
It's
is
a
a
movie.
yeah.
That's crazy.
It was $10 million.
No, it was not.
For a TV pilot when you don't even know if the show's going to make it. And apparently,
Thank God the guy went on to do other shit that was successful.
I think
The Avengers dude?
Yeah, the guy that wrote this.
Well,
Joss
none of the actors, I only recognize like one or two of them after this either, so.
Well, what's his face? The captain. He's in stuff, isn't he?
No.
I don't
He's
know.
B-list. Do what? Like what?
Castle.
B-list.
We'll get into the actors in a minute.
Okay.
So yeah, it was $10 million, which is a significant investment for a TV series at the
That's
time.
ridiculous.
Reflecting the scale and ambition of the production. That's a lot.
Holy shit.
So the key themes to the episode are survival, loyalty, and struggle for freedom, and on the outskirts of society, and a little casting trivia. So Nathan Fillion, who is Malcolm, was Joss Whedon's first choice for Mal, and he credited the role with revitalizing his career. And the girl, I hope some of these names I hope I say them right.
I know. I wrote one down and I was
they're
like,
tough.
I don't know.
Summer Glau, or I'm guessing, who
Uh,
played River. She was cast after she had a guest appearance on Angel, which is a Joss Whedon show, and he was impressed by her on that show.
It's too early to say, but there was like not much to the character first episode.
Well, no, I mean she was in shock and
Has to build an
so
episode.
yeah.
But I don't know.
I do have something very significant I have to say about her character, though. later on.
Good.
Huh?
Good.
Oh, I thought you were saying something in Chinese at first. I didn't know what you were
Mandarin.
saying.
I remember.
Yeah.
It was actually a quote directly from the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so some foreshadowing. The Battle of Serenity Valley not only introduces Mal and Zoe's history, but foreshadows Mal's internal conflict with authority and his deep-seated distrust of the Alliance. That's kind of where it came from. And I wanted also, because we had to talk again about that first scene, because you and I have a different view on how that first scene turned out for him. So, filming locations, Firefly was primarily filmed at 20th Century Fox Studios in Los Angeles, California. The pilot's expansive outdoor scenes, including Persephone sequences, were shot at several locations in California, including the Mojave Desert and local ranches in the area.
Most of it, what I read and didn't check, Arizona, and there was
That makes
one
sense.
over near Kansas City. I feel like
Kansas
it was a
City?
random,
Oh,
something
shit.
totally random, I think in Missouri. Or
Are you talking about maybe for the whole show?
Yeah,
No,
right.
this is just the pilot, though.
No, the rest of it, California, Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Everything out there.
So, actors and characters in Firefly. So, the first one, of course, is going to be Ethan Fillion as Mal Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
They refer to him mostly as Mal during the show. I remember him most from when he played Joey Buchanan on One Life to Live back in the day when I used to watch soap operas. He did earn a Daytime Emmy nomination. He was also on Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 2003. He played Caleb, who was a big villain in the final season. He was in Castle, and he was Richard Castle, who's a mystery writer that turned detective. I've never watched Castle, and I've also never watched The Rookie. Some interesting facts about him is he kept the brown coat that he wore as Mal on the show, and he's also known for his quick wit and engagement with fans at conventions. So I'm guessing it's a big convention show.
Mm-hmm.
Gina Torres as Zoe Washburne. Now she looks really familiar. I'm sure she's in
She's in the Matrix.
ton. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that explains something else. I didn't pick up on the fact that she was in the Matrix. I just kind of got a few.
Or one of the
quick.
Matrix. I can't remember which one.
But she was in Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, and
Was it Rock?
Xena Warrior Princess from 97 to 99.
No.
Cleopatra 2525, which I don't know what that is. She played Hel, the leader of a resistance group. She was also an angel. She played Jasmine, a powerful antagonist, and she was in Suits, which I think is where I feel
Oh, that's right. She was the boss of the
yeah,
two lawyers.
I've never watched this show, but I've seen a lot of things in the show, and I feel like that's where I've really seen her from.
Yeah, that show's dope.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that show, but it's not a one-season wonder, so we can never talk about it.
Right. Never mind. Fuck that show.
But yeah, she started as Jessica Pierce in A High-Powered Lawyer. She was also in Westworld. Did you watch Westworld?
Oh, shit, that's right.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay.
And that was a really good show.
Yeah, that was a good one. Interesting fact, she's married to Lawrence Fishburne, which I didn't realize.
Who's up?
Matrix. Lawrence Fishburne.
Who's Lawrence Fishburne? The Morpheus dude?
Yes.
Is that his real name?
Yeah.
I didn't know his real name.
I only know him as Morpheus.
I just know he's Morpheus. No. That's dope.
He was also on CSI.
Okay.
But he's been on a ton of other things too. But yeah, she's married to him. So when you said that, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's where they met.
Maybe.
Or they knew each other before, and
I mean,
he was like,
yeah.
I don't know who any of
I
these
hear
people are.
Hollywood's a small...
The next guy you're gonna know. Yeah. It's a tiny town. So Alan, and I never know if I say his name right, Alan Tudyk.
Looks about right.
I love this man.
I do not like him.
What?
Nope.
Jameson, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk, or whatever, I'm going to call him Tudyk, is fucking hilarious. Every time I see him in something, I know I'm going to love it. So, and you're going to know him in a second. So, he plays Wash, Hoban, which I didn't even know was his name until I looked it up. But yeah, he's the pilot, Hoban Washburne. He was in A Knight's Tale, but he was also in Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh my god.
Have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
I told you I was just only watching movies.
That's a movie I've seen.
Yeah,
I've seen it a couple
I
times.
think
actually.
we'll watch that because that's a hilarious movie, and I love that movie. And he starred as Tucker, one half of the Well, meaning hillbilly duo that was mistaken for serial killers. His co-star, Tyler Labine, who is also freaking hilarious, he played Dale. And just a side note, so Tyler Labine also starred in Invasion, which is a show we're also going to cover later on because it is a one-season wonder, and that is a show that she
I have seen.
We watched that when we were
That was
little.
good.
And Tyler Labine was also in Reaper, which we also both love. That's a fantastic show. You ever seen Reaper?
That one's like, I wish that one was one season just so we could do it, because it's two, isn't
I think it's a 2 season, so I'm thinking that if we, just because for Reaper, but we'll find other
You have
shows.
to watch that show.
For the sake of Reaper, after we've gone through as many one-season wonder shows we can find, we should do 2 season wonders because Reaper is fantastic.
Or we can just like throw it in there, like one season where we do it too, just as like a fun little thing, because it's such a good show. And it definitely should have had more.
Yeah, it should have definitely had more. Alan was also in Death at a Funeral, the British version. Have you seen this movie?
seen the American one.
Okay, the British one is fucking hilarious, and his character is Simon, and he's a nervous gas, and he accidentally takes hallucinogenics, and it's fucking hilarious. And Peter Dinklage is also in that movie, and I love Peter Dinklage.
I just think he tried. This was literally my least favorite character of all. He tried too hard in some of his like comedic stuff. I was like, I don't dig it.
Oh.
It's too.
So you don't like him in this show, or you don't like him at all?
In the show.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say
the shit with the dinosaurs. That's what messed me up. I was like, that's not like this motherfucker is literally.
Well, I'm sure they were probably trying to make him sensitive.
Like make him funny.
Well, not just that, but they had whatever going on. They're like, doing something.
Let's do a little cutscene.
Until something happens.
He could fuck with the radar on the ship or something.
That may not be his fault.
I
They said play with these damn dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And then,
You can't blame him. But if you haven't seen the British version of Death and Funeral, you have to watch it because it is so fucking hilarious.
I feel like I'm pretty booked for a while with all these podcasts.
You got other podcasts?
One day.
Okay.
We'll have more episodes.
So, but he's great in that movie, and he delivers absolutely the funniest performance in that movie. He was also in the voice in Wreck-It Ralph of the King. You see King Candy? Have you seen Wreck-It Ralph?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's been a minute, but...
And he in Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
And he's in that movie.
He's in Resident Alien, which apparently, I'm not really sure what that is, but I think it's a TV show because it's from 21 to present. About this. And he stars as an alien attempting to blend into small town life on Earth. He's in Doom Patrol. He portrays the villain Mr. Nobody. So Tudyk is known for his comedic timing and versatile performances across genres that you don't appreciate. He also co-created Con Man, a comedy inspired by his experiences with fan conventions following Firefly's cult success. But the next one is Morena Baccarin. I think that might be her name. And she plays Inara Sarah, who's the ambassador. What?
I want to jump ahead because that was like my favorite scene in the whole show.
Okay, well,
where
don't jump ahead. You can bring it up when we talk about the scene.
I won't say that.
So she was in Stargate SG-1. She played Adria, an antagonist. She started as Anna, the leader of an alien invasion as well. She's also in Homeland. She played Jessica Brody.
Homeland was, and she was pretty good in that.
Yeah, she played Jessica Brody, earning an Emmy nomination. She was in Deadpool. She portrayed Vanessa, Wade Wilson's love interest. I've seen none of these, but she looks familiar. She's beautiful.
Homeland is dope.
Is she the companion girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Ambassador.
Yeah.
She originally auditioned, this is a little fun fact about her, she originally auditioned for the role of Wonder Woman in the early 2000s.
Oh, I can totally see her doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And she speaks multiple languages, including Portuguese and Italian.
Not Mandarin, though?
I don't know.
Wow.
She speaks a lot of them. Next is Adam Baldwin, and he plays Jayne Cobb. Yes?
I didn't research. Is he related to the other Baldwin?
No, I actually have that in here. He's not a Baldwin brother.
I was curious.
No. And but he was in, and this is where I remember him from first, and anything I ever watched was Full Metal Jacket. He was Mother.
That's right.
That's why he looks familiar.
He's
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah, he does.
Hadn't aged fucking day.
And then he was in the X-Files, which I watched some of the X-Files from there, but I don't remember him in that. He was in Chuck, and then he was in The Last Ship. He oftentimes is in like war movies, action movies, sci-fi movies, and stuff like that. Sort of right. Yeah, see him.
Well, I think he's got. Well, so I am going to say that is my favorite character,
right,
out of all of them, just because he's kind of he's kind of a dick. But he, I thought he had the fun character of definitely.
Right. Okay, so the next one is Jewel Staite. She plays Kaylee Fry, but she was in a lot of kids shows. Flash Forward from Disney Channel, which I've heard of, but I've not seen.
She looks like a Disney Channel kid,
the
though.
Time Pause movie. Is that the same?
Time Pause?
Like, yeah, there's a Disney movie where like they have a watch and
pause. It was Disney, something in puppy, like dog. Time Pause. It's like it was a play on words. Disney, don't take my head.
Maybe not. I don't know.
TM.
Yeah. She was in Stargate Atlantis. She's apparently a little older than I would think. She looks so young.
She's not even on my list of characters. Which one is this?
She was the
She's the mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I put in my notes. Shout out to Kaylee for being a female mechanic.
Right.
I did not like that lady.
Is she too happy for you?
She ding dong. Yeah. Too happy to.
She didn't come up as a ding dong.
She's just a little.
She got shot and fucking. Well, that's
happy.
a spoiler.
I mean, honestly,
you have to cut that out.
honestly, what's his name is more of a ding dong because he had some dumb moments. Like
Which one?
your favorite there.
Oh yeah, he's definitely ding dong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean there's more than one.
Right. So there can't be. There can only be one idiot.
Yeah. You are the designated idiot of the show. Congrats.
I don't know.
I think she's just a little like.
I think what did it for me was when she ate strawberry.
Yeah, don't spoil that because I have something to say about that.
Yeah.
I have something to say about that too.
Probably the same thing to say.
Yeah.
So she began acting as a child, and she's always had a warm, approachable on-screen presence.
Mm-hmm.
She's an avid fan of baking and often shares her culinary creations online.
Are we the same person?
You and her?
Yeah.
Ding dong?
I don't know if she's a mechanic in real life.
No, I know, but it's just weird
Oh.
because I'm a mechanic and I also love to cook. So, and I'm dumb.
Ding dong.
Next is Sean Mayer. He plays Dr. Simon Tam. He was in Party of Five, which I have not watched. Did you watch Party of Five?
No,
Oh, okay.
but he was my absolute least favorite.
Which one is this?
Doctor.
The Doctor.
Oh yeah,
Fucking.
I'm hoping he will get better. I think that I'm hoping that was just because of the circumstances and everything was weird and whatever.
Yeah, and he was trying to hide something.
Yeah,
so he was
'cause
kind
they-
of being.
Yeah.
Oh, I was hoping they kill him off.
Yeah. He's done voice work as I want to say Darkwing Duck, but played Nightwing Dick Grayson in DC animated films, including Batman and Bad Blood. He also credits Firefly for helping him grow as an actor. Summer Glau as River Tam. She was on Angel. She played a ballerina in the episode Waiting in the Wings. She played Tess Dorner, a troubled psychic. She was also in Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yep, I'm seeing that one too.
She stars Cameron, a reprogrammed Terminator. She was in Big Bang Theory, where she played herself in a humorous camera role.
Mm.
She is a trained ballerina. She's frequently typecast in sci-fi and action roles due to her unique skill set. I guess being a ballerina is very helpful when you're in space.
When you're. Or in the Wild West.
Or the well, either one.
Yeah, interchangeable.
Well, I mean, like if you think about it in outer space, like no gravity, you're just like very much yeah. I feel like it probably would be good for ballet.
Or it'd make ballet a lot easier.
Yeah, your toes wouldn't be fucked.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it is the place for ballet.
It's totally the base place for
Yeah.
ballet. Absolutely.
Yeah, we should just put a stage up there for ballet performances.
So we might look a little different because we had a little technical difficulty and couldn't finish recording.
Did the phone die? Is that what?
Yeah, my phone died.
That was what it was.
We took a pee break and then ate, and then my phone was dead. And with the microphones
And we
and
were
stuff.
using all of the microphones.
Yeah.
And it,
So
which is so dumb because if we would have done it the way we're doing it now,
but we
you
didn't
could have
know.
just charged yourself.
We didn't know.
But anyways.
But anyway, it's been 3 weeks since we've actually recorded the first part, basically, of our podcast. So now we're going to go directly into the show, and we're going to talk about each scene and what we think about things that happened in each scene. The opening scene breakdown, the Battle of Serenity Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We jump right into the action. There's an intense battle going on, and it's the Battle of Serenity Valley. This is where we meet Mal, or Malcolm Reynolds. We also meet Zoe in this scene. Mal and Zoe are brown coat soldiers, part of the Independent Army, and they're fighting against the Alliance. Right off the bat, you can tell the odds are not in their favor. So the troops are clearly feeling pretty defeated, and Mal, being the one in charge, is trying to rally them to keep their spirits up. He's really doing his best to boost their confidence because they are way outnumbered. One interesting detail here, Mal has a cross necklace, and at one point you see him kiss it, which we'll talk about later, because remember we had that difference of opinion in this first part of this scene. You don't
remember, but I trust you.
Okay. So even though the world, or I guess the universe, is a mess, and Earth isn't what it used to be, he still believes in God. That's a small, but I feel like an important character detail for what comes up later in the show and how he is. Then the fighting continues. And they managed to take down a big Alliance ship, which is a huge moment for them. And you can see in Mal's expression his excitement about it. He's still holding on to hope that the Independents are going to send reinforcements and wipe out the Alliance from the air. But then Zoe gets a message from Independent Command, and here's where things take a turn. They're told the reinforcements aren't coming. It's too dangerous, and they're ordered to put down their weapons and surrender. So this moment is huge. You can actually see the shift in Mal when he looks up and sees the sky absolutely full of Alliance ships. All that optimism he's been clinging to, it's gone. In that moment, you realize he's lost his faith, not just in God, but in the Independents and their cause. There's also that one soldier in this whole scene that's, in particular, he spends a lot of time where Mal is reassuring him. He's like really doubtful. He thinks they're going to be wiped out and
then
die.
he fucking...
During that scene, then the guy is worried he's going to die the whole time, that they're not going to make it, and Mal keeps telling him, no, you're going to be fine. But then right at the end of the scene, as Mal and this guy are standing there looking at the sky, the soldier gets shot and killed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a slow motion thing. It's actually, I thought that was I like how, even though, I don't like the guy that got killed, the guy got killed, but I like the way they did it. It's a brutal moment, and it really sets the tone for everything that comes next. We see Mal go from being this hopeful, faith-driven leader to someone who's completely delusioned. This battle breaks him, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally. And that's the foundation for who he becomes in the rest of the story.
Yeah, he seems like such an asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is up with this guy?
Yeah.
The whole, like for a while I was like that. I'm like, God, he just seems like too much of an asshole. But then like as I watched it more, I guess I can kind of see like why he is that way. And he's not always that way, because there's moments where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of confused, but like, he's also the captain of the ship, so it's like, I guess he has to kind of have a way about it.
Like, it's almost like he tries to hide it, that he cares, but then there are little moments where you can tell he obviously really cares about the people on the ship and everything. I feel like this moment is what sets him up for the rest of, I guess, the show, because of course we've seen it. He just becomes very disillusioned. He no longer has his faith in God. You can see that when he interacts with Shepard Book. All right, so scene 2. So this scene 2 takes place 6 years later, which again, it's like how they put this at the end of this show, at the end of the series, doesn't make any sense to me. Now we see Mal, Zoe, and we're introduced to a new character, Jayne. They're out on this derelict ship that's been abandoned maybe or something.
Yeah, they're scavenging.
Yeah, and they're salvaging the cargo on there. They're apparently scavengers. And this whole scene immediately made me think of that game, Lethal Company.
I know, I wrote that down because I was like, I was going to mention it too, because I know we talked about it.
Right.
Like, for all the gamers out there, it's like Lethal Company before Lethal Company was a thing.
Right. And I looked it up just to see. I did too. The person who made Lethal Company was a Firefly fan, but I couldn't find anything.
Or just inspired by it, but I didn't see anything either.
But I didn't see anything about it.
Just without the terrifying monsters.
Right, that we know of yet.
That's true.
There are those Reavers out there.
The Reavers, which sound like a bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
They could be terrifying
Sounds
monsters.
super rude.
I hope we get to see what they look like.
I thought the same thing, because I wonder if they just talk about how gnarly they are, just to give them that presence and never show it.
Right.
Go into it. Because I'm picturing a predator looking dude.
Yeah. So they're working to get into a specific section of the ship. Once they get it open, they find these small cargo containers, and they're pretty excited about the haul. Then we're introduced to another crew member, Washburne, who is the pilot of their ship, the Serenity. But for now, Washburne, or Wash as they call him, is up in the pilot's area. When we first see him, he's playing with 2 plastic dinosaurs, staging this little fight between them. It's funny, but it's to some of us.
And to some of us, they could have done a lot better.
It also shows that Wash has this fun, lighthearted personality. He's definitely not as serious as the rest of the crew, which makes him stand out kind of just in terms of being different. Because Mal and Jayne are obviously very hard, and Zoe's just, she's very much follow command, that kind of thing. Where he's a little more quirky.
Yeah.
So while Wash is messing around with his dinosaurs, an alarm goes off. He looks at the screen and notices that there's an Alliance ship nearby. This sets everything in motion in terms of a little bit of action in this part. Wash then radios Mal, Zoe, and Jayne, letting them know what's going on. Obviously, they know that they gotta hurry up because the Alliance catches them, they're screwed. Mal tells Wash to shut the ship down and go into blackout mode. This is where we meet another character, Kaylee, who is the ship's mechanic. Wash radios her to shut down everything. The crew of the Alliance ship, which are the bad guys, are trying to figure out what they're looking at. And one of the crew members mentions that the derelict ship is no longer in service. So then the captain of the Alliance ship asks if they should search for survivors. So basically, they're just looking out their big window and they see the ship that they're salvaging, but they can't see the Firefly. And that's why Mal had Wash shut it all down so that it wouldn't be seen, I guess. But then one of the Alliance crew members picks up on some residual heat coming from the derelict ship, which is probably the heat coming from the Firefly. The captain orders a sweep, and that's when Wash gets a signal that they've been detected. Wash radios Mal and says, "We've been humped," which basically means they've been spotted again.
Screwed.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
So now, it's a race against time. Mal, Zoe, and Jayne start grabbing as much cargo as they can and rushing it back to the Serenity. Wash calls Kaylee and tells her to fire everything back up. They're getting ready to make a quick escape. So Mal and the crew have a trick up their sleeve. They deploy something called the Crybaby. It's this barrel-like object that floats through space and sends out a fake distress signal. The Alliance picks up on the signal, thinking it's coming from a personal carrier about 13 clicks away. By the way, if you're wondering, a click is a military term for a kilometer. So 13 clicks is about 8 miles. I did my math. Did my homework on clicks. Anyway, the captain decides they should investigate the distress signal instead of chasing the Firefly. So the Crybaby worked. Mal, Zoe, and Jayne managed to get all the cargo back to Serenity. Once they're aboard, Wash takes off. This is the first time we really get to see the ship in action, and it's a good shot because from above you can see why it's called the Firefly class ship. The rear of the ship lights up brightly, which we talked about when we were discussing the first part. Just like a Firefly. It's a kind of a cool little detail, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, Firefly. Okay. Right. Light bulb. All right, so back on the Alliance ship. Before they move on, the captain tells his crew to put out a bulletin to Interpol, so they still use Interpol, about the Firefly, warning that it may have stolen salvage on board. So this is when that bulletin goes out, I guess, to the universe, or the verse.
The verse. The little captain on that scene was a douchebag. He talked fucking...
Yeah, he was very fancy schmancy, obviously very elite. So on to the next scene, we finally get to see what's inside the cargo. When they open it up, it looks like copper bars. What did you guys think it was?
I thought it was like gold.
Yeah, I thought gold bars, but copper colored.
Yeah.
I thought
it was some kind of money.
Yeah. I'm like, what the heck do these people need this for? I mean, in this time, why would you need copper bars? Because in a universe where everything like this is like it is, and it's chaotic, and wouldn't things like food, water, or shelter be the more important valuable things? So why? I was like, maybe they're gonna melt them down and make something out of them. I don't know. The bars do have some kind of insignia etched onto them. I'm not sure what it means yet, but it's clearly significant. And of course, this time in the show, we don't know what it means until the end, really, unless you guys figured it out early on.
Oh, I mean, as far as like...
that insignia that was on the bars.
But I just know it means it's the fuzz. It's
the Alliance.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that at this point.
That's just the...
Right at the very beginning, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Then Mal, Zoe, and Wash start talking about heading to a planet called Persephone. That's where their contact is, and that guy's name is Badger. He's going to buy the cargo from them. Because I thought maybe it was some sort of, at this point, maybe some sort of like contraband or something that, I don't know.
If it's owned by the Alliance, though, then it's...
I don't think I realized
you're like stealing from the government.
I guess that's
what it is. So that's why it's such a big deal as to why they have it.
Right.
And
or at least I knew it was something along the lines of, you're not supposed to have it, so...
Yeah, and it obviously carries some type of value.
Right. So now the crew's main focus is getting to Persephone to unload the copper bars and make the deal with Badger. In this scene, we cut to Zoe and Wash walking through the ship, and this is when we realize these two are married. They're a couple. As they talk, Zoe mentions she's feeling uneasy about everything that's going on, and Wash brushes it off by saying, well, we're criminals, nothing's ever right anyway. Wash also brings up how everyone on the ship could use a couple of days off. He's hopeful that after they unload the cargo, they'll have enough money to head to Boros and spend some quality time together. He's especially thinking about time for just the two of them. Zoe throws in that she'll need to check with Mal first. Now this is where you see a bit of their dynamic as a couple. Zoe is very much the by the book, follow the chain of command type. Wash, on the other hand, has a more laid-back, sarcastic approach. He doesn't see why she has to ask Mal's permission and suggests she just tell Mal what she's going to do. So he then tries to explain why she needs to check with Mal. It's because he's the captain. Wash responds sarcastically with, and I'm just the husband, right? Then he throws in this line, don't forget to call him sir. He likes that.
And then he, what up? Not sir.
And then right after he says that, they're in the bridge and walks Mal. And he's catching the end of the conversation. And he asks who likes what. Zoe sticks to her usual respectful tone, please saying, oh, nothing, sir. And of course, Wash can't help himself. He gives her a thumbs up and his goofy face because she did exactly what he just joked about.
I did like that part. That
Yeah.
made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then Mal shifts the conversation. He asks about the ambassador, which is the first time we hear about this character. Wash says she has a very full timetable, and Mal tells him to let her know that once they check in with Badger, they'll likely be leaving Persephone pretty quickly. Wash suggests he could contact her and tell her to cut her plans short, but Mal immediately shuts that down, saying not to interfere with her business unless they have to. And as he walks off, he throws out this line, someone on this boat needs to make an honest living. Which is funny because, of course, the very next scene, we see what her honest living is, which is kind of funny. It was ironic.
I thought that part was funny.
Yeah. So this transitions into the next scene where we finally meet the ambassador and get to see what he means by honest living.
She's fucking the military, dude.
No, are we going to talk
about what's going on, and then we need to talk about this scene. Because this scene was like, what is happening? All right, so in this scene, we finally meet the ambassador, and we see what Mal meant by her honest living. The scene opens with her engaged in her, let's call it, business activities with the man.
business?
She's got her
Biz nasty.
She's got her business socks. Is that what it is? Business time.
Business time.
Business socks? Yeah.
Business time. Wasn't
I
that a
don't
whole...
think she was wearing socks.
No.
Flight of the Conchords, great show.
Wow.
But they had a song called Business Time that it's a really funny song. Okay, let's just stop for a second. So this scene, because she's in the midst of, she's in bed, laying, the man's on top of her. Which I thought was, I don't know what this show was rated, but I feel like
I think it was TV-14.
I feel like it was a lot for regular TV
Yeah.
at that time.
Back then.
That was a lot back then, but that's not what I need to talk about. It was just surprising.
We're talking about the shakiness of
the
it all.
shots, the way this scene was shot, drove me a little crazy. And another time, another scene with her in this room is shot the same way. It's almost shot like I could.
They're like,
yeah, it's all like.
it's like the filmer is
jerky.
also excited about what's going on.
But it feels so completely different from the rest of the show. And it was like, and sometimes it'd be like weird, like zoom ins, and it was shaky.
Well, they can't catch certain.
Well, no, like when they were finished, like they were sitting down drinking the tea.
It was still
zoomed in
like,
her face.
yeah.
She was talking, but then you could hear her voice. She was looking the other way, like you can hear her voice, but her mouth's not moving. Like she was, which I know what they were doing there. Like she was kind of like thinking about what she'd rather be doing or whatever, something better. But it was just such a janky, weird way of...
Especially when the whole rest of the show's not done that way.
all.
But for some reason out of nowhere, with like scenes with her, it's like, what's happening?
I could have literally filmed it with my phone in my house, in my own bedroom.
I wonder if that's like the director's idea of something like sexy.
Maybe it's like
all over
homemade
the
porn.
place. Yeah. Maybe he outsourced it. I don't know. He like hired the...
Yeah, Joss Whedon.
I'm gonna
had
get
out-
just a director for this scene. He specializes in porn.
I can't watch it, so you do it.
Yeah, like he
My
hires
virgin
some
eyes.
Yeah.
porn dude.
We're like, oh, I'm married. I can't.
I don't know.
It was just a weirdly shot, I thought,
It was.
and it just threw me off. I was like, what? And I thought maybe because I rewound it because sometimes my TV will do a weird
Did
thing.
you now? And it was at that scene I pressed the rewind button. No, it's fine. Hey. Did you put it in slow motion too?
So I rewound it because I thought something was fucked up on my TV. Because sometimes it'll do this weird thing, and I'm like, oh, maybe it just fucked up. So I rewound
And it zoomed in and zoomed out too. Like it really went.
No, just the beginning
Yeah,
when it was
like,
like
shaky.
weird. And so then I rewound it, but it still did the same thing. And then I was like, well, I guess that's just how they want it to be. I think it probably was for more like an
Dramatic
intimacy
effect,
feel.
like-
Like this is an intimate.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe that was his
I
idea.
normally
of
don't like
how
shake like that though when I'm doing it intimate.
Well,
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Not the whole time.
I'm guessing it's just like they were adding some sort of softness and intimacy to it. But anyway,
Who knows?
to reflect the nature of her work. I don't know. It just seemed oddly jerky at times. It was strange.
It was a lot of jerk. Yeah.
There's a lot of back and forth, in and out. Feel.
Is that in your notes?
Yep.
It is my notes. I didn't mean it that way.
Aww.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, it's just weird.
Bro,
I didn't realize that's how I wrote it.
that's
Like,
hilarious.
I mean, I knew I wrote it, but I wasn't thinking about it with the being sex. I was just thinking about the way it was filmed. It was back and forth and in and out. Yes, it was back and forth and in and out.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Maybe that's what they were trying to get across.
Maybe that's what it is.
All right. So anyway, after they finish, there's this shot of an hourglass, and you see the sand running out, and this is obviously symbolizing the limited time they have together. Then they're sitting and having tea, and the man starts a conversation. He tells her that his father is very influential, with a lot of money, and offers her the chance to leave this life and be with him. She politely declines, and they continue talking for a little while longer. Then all of a sudden, the scene cuts to him fully clothed, and they're standing there saying their goodbyes. It's a pretty abrupt transition from the whole niceties on the well, the niceties in the bed, and then the niceties on the couch, and then boom, he's just, yep, see you later, and he kind of accuses her of making her sand fall faster than it should have.
Yeah, he seemed like he was kind of being shitty at the end.
Yeah, but she had to go. His time was up.
It's like, bro, you just met her and you're asking her to like run away with you.
Really, like basically, like, hey, let's
Calm
get
down.
married. And
Yeah.
She said no. He's like, oh, well, can fuck you, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later.
So after he leaves, we see her move through a curtain into a smaller area where she pilots what looks like a little ship. Later, we find out it's actually the shuttle that docks with the Serenity. So the next scene, we have Persephone. We're at the docks. Persephone feels like a bustling hub of sorts. It's like a marketplace where it pretty much does all their trading and selling and stuff. Now, this show is touted as a sci-fi western. And up to this point, it's leaned pretty heavily on the sci-fi aspects.
Right.
But here, there's also a very clear Asian influence. Like, this is where you really start seeing the Asian influence. You see some Asian people, but there's a lot of Asian garb. You hear a lot of Asian languages being spoken. Once the Serenity lands, we see the crew heading out through the big bay door. He tells Wash to go pick up any supplies they need and starts talking to Kaylee, who's staying. His main focus is on her securing paying passengers, paying being prominent. So then Mal and the crew then go and meet Badger. Right off the bat, Badger starts in saying they're late. Mal doesn't let it slide, immediately calling him out by saying, no, we're not, you're lying. This catches Badger a little off guard, and he's like, what did you just say to me? He's this, big badass.
But he's got that English accent. Oh, oi, what did you... Yeah.
So anyway, Mal doesn't back down, pointing out that they're actually 2 hours early. He adds that the only reason Badger would accuse them of being late is to put them on the defensive. Clearly something was wrong. Badger brings up the bulletin that's been circulating about a rogue Firefly ship suspected of stealing illegal cargo from a passenger vessel. He makes it clear that this bulletin has put them, and by extension him, in a tight spot. Badger refuses to be the one left holding the bag, or in this case, the government-marked cargo. He tells Mal it's no deal. Naturally, Mal isn't happy, calling it unfair, but Badger just shrugs and says, too bad, things change. Then Jayne, who is the hothead in this whole group, he takes it up a notch. He calls Badger a puddle of piss, refusing to pay us our wage. This, of course, escalates things. The Badger's men pull their guns ready to back him up. Mal keeps his composure and says he's just here to do business, but Badger doesn't budge. He tells Mal that if he wants to unload the cargo, he'll have to find someone else, maybe one of the border planets. All in all, in the end, Mal, Zoe, and Jayne leave empty-handed. Well, not they still have the cargo, but they are without the money they were counting on. So they're worried because this means they have to still pay for fuel, supplies, and everything else, and losing this opportunity is a major setback for the crew. Okay, so what were your thoughts on this scene?
Oh, even though like we kind of know what they're selling, quote unquote, even though we're like, what are they? Gold bars, copper bars, whatever it may be. The whole time while they were in Badger's tent, all I could think of was, what are they selling? Chocolate. Like that's all I could think the whole time. I don't know why, but that was my SpongeBob reference that I had. But that's all. I'm watching the scene and that's all I can think of. Because I'm like, what are they selling? Like, what is it? Yeah, and that's it. That's my thought.
And then when they do the later scene, they take the bar and they pull it through the teeth like SpongeBob.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So this next scene is where Shepherd Book meets Kaylee, and he's walking,
What's in the box?
Yeah.
That's all I could think.
I know, that's all I can think of too. So he's walking by
That was
her.
the doctor, I thought.
No.
Yeah, shippers.
No, because he gives her the box and he's like, I have this. And she's like,
that
"Ah!"
Yeah.
not the
Yeah,
box.
but we don't see what's in it yet.
Right,
and at that point, because we were watching it and I was like, what's in the box? And you were like, we know what it is. We've watched the episode once already. But I couldn't remember at that moment.
Yeah. So he's walking past the Serenity. Kaylee's sitting there in her little chair with her umbrella and look all cozy. And she basically was like, you're going to come with us.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their conversation. He's like, well, what makes you think that? And she's like, because you're obviously a ship guy, because you're not asking anybody about where they're going. You're just looking at the ships. So, and then she talks about how nice the ship is and all that and stuff. And he does seem to be taken in by her charm and her cheerfulness and everything. And I think it kind of shows that she can read people pretty well as well. And she also asks him, like, why doesn't he care where he's going? And he says, how you get there is the worthier part.
I was going to say, he dropped some
Yeah.
some shit. Yeah.
So,
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got some bars.
So he tells her that he's a missionary and that he was at a specific abbey. Anyway, they do their introductions and stuff, and she, offers him the ride. She says they're going to Boros, and she wants to make sure he can pay. And she's like, "You can pay, can't you?" And this is the scene with the box. And what's in the box?
Mm-hmm.
So he says he has a little cash, and then he pulls out this small box, tiny little box,
Mm-hmm.
and she opens it, and she's just like, like angels are singing, like it was like glorious, and they never show you what's in the box at this point. And you're like, well, what the hell's in the box?
And then it gets really weird later.
Yeah, it does get really weird later.
She really likes what's in the box.
Right.
We'll get there. Don't ruin it.
So the next scene, everyone's back at the Serenity. They're all getting on board. They did talk, well, actually before that scene, Zoe, Jayne, and Mal are walking back to the ship, and they're talking about, of course, Jayne was upset that Mal didn't fight, because Jayne wants to fight all the time. He felt that they should have left Badger and his crew in a puddle of blood. So anyway, they talk about that. Zoe brings up, what are we going to do? They talk about where they're going to go with this. And he's like, there's one of the outer moons or planets or whatever is a planet run by a lady named Patience. And Zoe's like, fuck no, we can't go see Patience. She shot you.
Yeah.
And tried to kill you. And he was like, oh, those are, bygones, that's in the past, no big deal. After much discussion, he decides they're going to go to see Patience, and he's not worried about it. So now we're back at the ship. Everybody's getting back to the ship. Jayne, Mal, Zoe, they're back. You see Wash come up on the ATV, and he's carrying a bunch of stuff, and this big box is on there. You see this one guy kind of walk by. His name is Dobson. He goes behind Kaylee and goes into the ship. And then standing off to the side is Simon. He's dressed like in this really nice black suit with the red sunglasses. They make him look like a bad guy, like right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like they give
He
him
just looks suspicious.
major suspicious bad guy vibes right away.
Which makes sense as to like what ended up like
right, because
later
Dobson
on.
goes through like all, see you later. And then Simon's like, like this, tough guy in his red glasses.
And that's why Malcolm thinks he is the bad guy later on.
Right. Also, at the end of that scene, when they close the cargo doors and you have the porthole, the circular window, and right when it closes in the window, you see Simon. And again, it makes him look like he's nefarious.
Like, he's going to be
a
problem.
So the next scene is when they're in the dining hall area, and
You
Mal's...
just gave my favorite scene.
No. They're just talking about the rules. About
okay. Yeah.
Mal takes them to the dining hall. He's giving them the rules about where they can go, what they can do. He basically tells them that, dining hall you can come to anytime you want to. You can do whatever you want to. They do mention they have several sit-down meals. And then this is where Kaylee tells Mal that Shepherd Book has offered to help make dinner. Mal looks a little surprised because he's like, oh, you're a shepherd. And Book jokes, I thought the outfit gave it away. It's not a problem, is it? At this point, Kaylee, who kind of knows, like you can tell she knows there's tension and she wants to diffuse it all the time. She jumps in really awkwardly and she's like, no, it's not a problem. Mal then says it's fine after a pause, but you can tell he's just like, ugh. So there's just kind of like I was saying, if you can, like in the beginning scene, he's got a lot of faith and now it's gone. Mm-hmm. You can see that whenever he deals with Shepherd Book. So he just goes through all this stuff and he tells everybody that they're not allowed on the bridge, the cargo bay, or the engine room. Simon then is like all worried because he's worried about his big box.
What's in his box? He's got to tend to the box.
Right. And that his stuff is, stored in a cargo bay. And then, of course, Mal tells him, well, you need to move your belongings to your rooms anyway.
Yeah.
So this is when we're going to go into the scene that you love.
I love this scene so much.
I just thought it was perfect because of how direct it was.
One other thing for this scene, though, is Mal has to tell everybody that they do have to take a short detour and go to Whitefall
Yeah.
to drop off medical supplies
And
for
Dr.
a lot. So now we go back into the cargo bay area, and everybody's down on the main floor going through their stuff. And then there's there's stairways. There's a lot of stairways with platforms, and there's stairways up above and all around where they kind of walk around through everything. And so Kaylee and Mal are on an upper platform, and we see everybody collecting their stuff. And Simon's obviously very concerned about his box. Dobson walks by him and bumps into him and comes off as very clumsy and kind of a doofus. And he's like, oh, and later on we see him go through the door and trips again, and he's like just a kind of a clumsy doof. Anyway, so Shepherd Book heads up the stairs to the platform where Mal and Kaylee are standing. He hands Kaylee the box, and the little box, plus the bag, which I'm guessing has cash in it, because he said he had cash.
I think those are cooking supplies. If I'm not
Oh, maybe that makes sense, because it was a big bag.
Yeah,
I was like,
vegetables.
no, it's sort of like I have a little cash. That's a lot of cash.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but yeah.
Got a bunch of copper bars in the box.
So yeah, that's probably exactly what it is. So yeah, there's definitely some food in there. They're up there on the platform, and that's when Inara comes down one of the stairs. She looks really beautiful and elegant. She's dressed really nice. Mal greets her by saying, "Oh, the ambassador has joined us." And then Shepherd, of course, is just like, he's kind of taken aback because he's like, "Oh, whoa, an ambassador, right?" And Mal introduces Inara to Shepherd, and she comments that this is probably the first time they've ever had a Shepherd on board. Book replies that he wasn't expecting to see a state official either, to which Mal bursts out laughing. And then Shepherd looks at him like, am I missing something funny?
And he says,
And then-
she's a whore.
Inara tries to explain what ambassador is, but then Mal
low-key.
No.
just cuts her off very bluntly and says she's a whore. Just super abrupt, which made it seem awkward but intentional. He probably couldn't do that today on a TV show.
Yeah, I don't think it... Well, I mean...
I don't know that they could get away
It
with that on
would
regular
have to be
TV.
later night.
Yeah.
Because, it's gnarly verbiage.
I will say though, and I'll mention it again later when it comes up, but I wrote down that Inara and Mal have a weird relationship though. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk about it later because we need the other part that I kind of put hand in hand with this scene.
Yeah.
That I'm like, what's the dynamic here?
There's definitely some, almost like there's mean adult teasing because there's an underlying emotion there.
Yeah.
Like kids on the playground, oh, I like her. Bam!
Yeah. You whore!
Yeah, something like that. Because, it definitely get the vibe that, he doesn't like her. They're angry at each other for something.
No, they're not, though. No, you didn't pick up on something later on then. We'll talk about it later.
There's some sexual, or not even just sexual, but there's some romantic tension
There's some,
there.
yeah. Because when they all start, okay, can we jump to it just to say it?
No, hold on.
No, you can't fast forward.
Well, I'll just,
We'll bring it. It comes.
just
up
wait a
little
second.
bit. Yeah. There's
Because
definitely
it comes
some
up later that it's
emotional-
it happens and I'm like, what?
Okay.
It's interesting.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely tension there, like a romantic, sexual
There's something.
tension.
There's something.
And
There.
they're trying to hide it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know, but they're trying to hide it. But I'm saying the reason why, though, that they can't say whore now is I don't think they would call her that because of just political correctness.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a
well,
word
yeah.
nowadays. It's a...
Like they would call her a
It's a
sex
gnarly
worker, I
one.
guess
Yeah.
would be the more,
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be able to get away with that on TV now.
No.
But
Of
it
course-
was gnarly.
Of course, as soon as he says horror, it's like, ugh, and there's
Yeah.
a little weirdness there.
Yeah, whore was like, ooh.
And because he was really abrupt, but it kind of really goes to show how Mal it's almost like he doesn't care, he has no filter, he doesn't care what he says, but he almost wants to be that picky, just start something, kind of make people feel weird and awkward. He likes that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Kaylee jumps in to try to ease attention. She says,
Well, that's why I felt some way about him for a minute.
Right.
He's like that for like the whole first
right.
part, and I'm like, God, this guy, like, why?
Yeah,
Why are you like this?
But Kaylee interrupts and says it's companion, so they call her a companion.
Yeah.
Then Mal, asks her how her business is. She says it's none of yours. They have this little thing that goes back and forth, and he basically then explains why they call her the ambassador, because in this time, because what she does is actually looked upon as the way I took it is like, it's a big deal. Like, she's important. Like, it's an important job to have.
Yeah.
Like, they don't look badly upon this. Like that. They don't do that.
Do what?
Yeah,
It's like they...
Because he literally...
Like, it's good to be a whore?
Well, no, it's because it's probably like keeping people's spirits up in a way, for
But
lack
they
of
talk
better
so
terms.
down about it. Like, she's a whore.
He does.
He does.
Nobody else
Because
does,
I think he
though.
has like a strong opinion on it, but
Yeah.
other people I think view it as like she's here to like help keep people like...
It's really... I feel like it comes across as a very prominent job. Like, it's a job people should have. Like, or
I
whatever.
didn't get that vibe. I thought she was a whore on the spaceship.
She is. We're not saying that she's not.
Yeah.
We're just saying that most people would look down on it, whereas it seems like Mal is the only one that really does, where everybody else is like supportive of it.
Mal
Mal,
was
yeah.
affected or had some kind of...
When Mal explains why they call her ambassador to Shepherd Book, he says, basically, I'm paraphrasing, any ship welcome at any good port has to have a great ambassador in order to even be accepted at port. Like, people want to use the ambassador services.
Do they mean it as like that kind of ambassador?
No, they mean it like they know what she does. But he calls her the ambassador because she like keeps the peace and like makes it so that they're welcome on the good planets, because the good planets want good ambassador or good companions. Just say it that way. Yeah, so it definitely seems like it's the job to have. So anyway, they have a little snappy thing going on. She very quickly, like, she can give it back to him pretty much as easily as he gives it to her. So the next is Kaylee and the box.
Dude.
So in this next scene, you see Kaylee take the stuff to the dining room.
Yeah.
And she's got the bag that Shepard gave her, and then she's got the box. And we find out what's in the box.
And then she gets off on a strawberry.
It was awkward.
She literally had a sexual moment with a strawberry.
Strawberries are in the box, by the way.
Yeah. When she opens the box, she pulls out
It's a fucking strawberry. And then she gets off.
She is so excited.
So into the strawberry.
And she just slowly, like...
Yeah, it was like a whole... And then, like, why is this scene so long?
Well, they
and
had
why
that
was it even
director
a thing?
from the other scene come back and be like...
They pulled in that
guy. Although it didn't have that jarring...
Yeah.
It's real steady-handed on that one.
Yeah. No, that shit's... Why?
Well, I'm guessing that...
Are strawberries
this
very
stuff
few
is
and far
very
between?
hard to come from.
I'm telling
Come
you.
by.
Come by, yeah.
And I like the show, but I think a lot
Apparently
of
not, though.
It's overacted to send the message across really quick. She fucking wanted you to know that she liked that strawberry.
Yeah, it was a lot. It
Well,
was...
It's probably a luxury at this point.
It was...
Well,
it
yeah,
was
no, I mean, I get why it is. They, like, why she was so... But it was... I feel like it didn't have to be that deep.
But that's how the show has gone so far. It's a lot of over the top to get that point there.
Right. Even though they had a whole hour and a half.
She did not like anything more than a strawberry in the whole episode.
Yeah, she was loving
or
that strawberry.
Inara. She's really into Inara, too, so...
Yeah. They're like best buds.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, totally.
But strawberries, man. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's like the first time she'd ever been able to have one.
Yeah.
It was-
Also, kind of stingy for her to take the food
she did.
from
She
dinner
just...
and just like...
yeah, I wondered if there were more strawberries in there for other people.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a little box.
Yeah. It was little.
It had to have been like maybe...
It was a decent sized strawberry too.
It was. If they were all that size, I'd say like 2 or 3 strawberries in that box.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm gonna get 4.
Plus, also, they didn't just rot in there. How long has it been carrying these strawberries around?
Maybe it's like a humidor.
Well, with GMOs and everything, by that time.
Yeah, that's true.
By that time,
They had,
it would
like-
probably last forever.
Yeah, they had like a clear coat over it that
Right.
kept it like nice and preserved.
Yeah.
Either way, strawberries were a big deal.
They
It was impactful.
My note says, "Why did Kaylee have an orgasm to a strawberry?"
So the next thing is a dinner scene. This is where we really see Mal's, not only his sharpness, but his total disdain for Faith. Because they start off talking about, because you see all the food that was in that
As
bag.
long as you say it out loud or whatever.
Yeah, because they start eating and they're all thanking him for all the food, because all the vegetables and stuff he brought from his garden at where he was staying at the Abbey.
Mm.
And everybody's like really thankful and grateful for it. And then, of course, Mal's already eating. So everybody sits down. Before they start to eat, Shepherd Book is like, "Do you mind if I say grace?" And Mal said, "Only if you say it out loud."
Which I think I'm curious, like,
You would think you'd want to say it silently.
No.
well,
He
I just
minds
wonder which
only
part.
if you say it out loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he
Right.
might,
I
do you
forgot
mind if
that.
I say grace? Only if you say it out loud. Like, I do mind if you say it out loud.
Yeah.
Oh,
Say it
that
silently.
actually makes
Yeah.
sense.
Because he
Okay.
doesn't fuck with it anymore.
I totally
Right.
get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and then you can see a little bit of disappointment on Shepard's face.
And that's why they all go silent.
And they all quietly, you can tell everybody was like a little nervous about it, but everyone except for Mal bowed their head and quietly said grace.
I did not catch that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember
I get it
catching
now.
that when it happened, now that you talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fucking dumb. I get it now.
Well, it took me 2 times watching it before I realized that's what he meant. Because it is a quick little thing.
Yeah.
The first time I thought, why would he want him to say it out loud? Just like you guys said. But
Yeah.
The second time I was like, oh, duh. And then this is when Simon starts asking about the relationship between the ship and the crew and the Alliance. Because Simon's like, do you guys have to do this a lot? Does the government come and do your
Yeah.
ship
He's nosy.
to go do stuff? Right.
He's hiding something.
Right. Yeah, because he's worried probably that
He's hiding something, but
we know later on there's something with him and the Alliance in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably worried that they're going to be on the ship or they're going to see him. So then, of course, Mal is like, that's what the government's for. They get in the way. They just get in the man's way. Kaylee then asks Simon, you're a doctor, right? He talks about being a trauma surgeon. You can kind of tell that she has a little bit of a thing for Simon. So Jayne says Kaylee's just wishing he was a gynecologist and laughs. Mal immediately snaps at him and says, "You will keep a civil tongue in that mouth.
yeah, because remember
that's what
he
he got
fucking
mad
Or I will
yells at him.
sew it shut." Which I kind of like the way he said it. It almost had like an old throwback way of speaking.
So he was getting all angry about it.
Right. But then, of course, Jayne isn't bothered by it, and he's like, "You don't pay me to talk pretty." And then he starts to say something even more inappropriate, and then Kaylee just wants to get all lubed up or whatever, and then Mal cuts him off completely and says, "Walk away from this table now."
Mm-hmm.
And then there's kind of a little stare off, and then
He
he
gets
flops some more
pissy
food
and-
on his plate, and then he takes off.
Yeah.
I felt like, because later on in the show, there's something we're going to talk about, and I think that was a setup for that scene that's later on. Where,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, and this was actually, I kind of liked this line. So Simon, because when Jayne says, "You don't pay me to talk pretty," he leaves, then Simon says, "What do you pay him for?"
Yeah.
And Mal says, "Public relations."
Which
Which
is
I thought was
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
Because he does have a very kind of deadpan wit to him when he says certain things. And that was one of those that I thought was pretty funny.
So, we had a bit of a technical difficulty while recording, and our session cut off unexpectedly. But honestly, it worked out, because this episode was getting pretty long anyway. So, we're splitting it into 2 parts. This is where we'll wrap up part 1, and we'll pick things right back up in our next episode, part 2 of Serenity, the first episode of Firefly. Join us there.